and say hello. There's a little bit of... Maybe we can come and eat some of this little teak. Okay, what he's doing there is he's just found some devil's thorn, which is really nice, but he's digging it up with the roots, so he slaps it around to get rid of the sand around the roots. It's a ground creeper that he's just stuffed into his mouth.
Hello, you beautiful baby.
Come along. No, it's a lily. Don't eat the lily. Okay, eat it then.
He's gonna do what he wants to do.
Probably gonna eat these recoppicing. Where's it coming towards now? Right to. There's a bit of clearing that's been going on here on the edge of the road. That's why it's lovely short grass. And what he's sniffing now. Yes, hello, little boy. I'm intimidated by that move. That head throw is sort of an elephant's way of saying go away or trying to intimidate us. Of course, if you ignore it, then I suppose he wonders why he did it in the first place. Because I don't understand elephant eating the flowers of, I think that's anthericum or hub. Could be anthericum flowers, lovely flowers in his mouth. Hey little boy. Jumbo Tembo. Move a little. So we're starting to get a weird angle on the camera, trying to look back. See, as soon as I start the engine, it'll move it. What we'll do is we'll just turn around. He chose to come towards us. Probably just come and check, give us a head throw, and see how we would react. That's it, digging. Question coming in on Twitter from New Zealand. Diane and Shanae. Hi, ladies. Sorry I missed your visit this year. Diane wants to know, why do elephants pretend to eat when they're wary of you? Well, he's not really pretending to eat. He is eating, but he's choosing to come closer to us and feeding. Partly curiosity. Well, I suppose actually mostly curiosity. Digging. A root or a tuber there. Or a bulb. That looks like a big tuber that he's got. Like a big sweet potato or a yam, I think. Many, many different plants that have bulbs, tubers, onion type things, potato type things. Welcome to our live drive, Shanae and Diane. Thanks for joining us. Viewers from a long time ago, actually South Africans now living in New Zealand. I think think the whole thing about elephants coming close to us like he has been, I mean, if I drive, he tends to move away, but he chooses to come closer to us to see our reaction, but also, I suppose, in a way, also testing the trust issue, testing to see whether he can trust us, whether we mean harm or not. And curiosity, mostly. And there are times when an elephant was come, when even at home this happens a lot, where an elephant will stand at a tree and he'll curl his trunk around leaves, and you can see he's not actually eating, but he's pretending, or she pretending to eat, and it really is a tester to see what this vehicle and human is going to be doing, and whether it's safe enough to let the herd or safe enough to continue. Found another. Oh, it's time for a bit of a sand bath. Nice and cool sand. Trunk up. Sorry, boy, I know you don't really. Kicking sand in our direction is another way of trying to intimidate me, and of course, by showing that I'm not really worried, by showing that I'm not really intimidated, he then calms down. If I was to react by either starting the engine, look, I've got an elephant on my hat. It's likely to get him a little bit more riled up if I were to start the engine and rev, or there are different things that people do with elephants because they don't really know how to behave with elephants, and that kind of gets them riled up. So I think largely elephants testing what our reaction is going to be, and obviously when one doesn't react, there is nothing for them to do any further, because if you don't react to their first or initial, I would call it a threat, I'd call it a tester, like when they throw their head or they're kicking sand. He was digging sand to throw on him, but he did kick one little ball of sand towards us, and he was trying to see what we would do. Often happens on foot, especially with bulls, sort of running charge towards you with their ears spread out, and they'll stop and they'll kick sand in your face. And if you just stand there, stand your ground, maybe sometimes you have to shout them down, but and say no. I wouldn't say he follows them. The elephant bulls will follow the family unit from a very, very young age. It's a very slow process being weaned off of the family unit or the breeding herd. Elephants don't get kicked out as such. I've heard people say bulls get kicked out of the herd. It doesn't really happen that way. There's no real aggression in elephant society. They don't tolerate aggression much, and they start disciplining their youngsters from the moment that they're born, really, in terms of behavior. But what happens is when an elephant, and a little boy elephant from the age of 8, even 6 to 8, starts lagging behind, because invariably there'll be sisters and cousins that are more females that are more concerned with helping raise the new youngsters, and the little boys, they can get a bit boisterous, but they start trying to wean themselves, well, I wouldn't say wean themselves off the herd, it's more a case of getting more and more independent, so that when they're in their early teens, from 10 going into the early teens, going through puberty, you'll find, yes, they follow the family unit, they'll follow only their own family unit, until it reaches a point where they maybe just post-puberty, where they actually join up with older bulls, and it's like the bachelor herds of Impala. They move around with, it could be flowers, white flowers. Stop tree, not twin dams, tree. See if usually it's a tawny eagle. The Bateleur on the right is a juvenile, the one on the left is an adult. Now, both of these eagle species are also scavengers, and very, very often one finds that they'll be the first at a kill or a carcass, or sometimes even just something giving birth, that they can get to the afterbirth. One of the reasons why they're one of the first is because they're both very low soaring eagles. Both species fly relatively low, in fact a lot lower than most of the vultures. And I see a feather falling from another Bateleur right up above us that I didn't see. I'm going to have to get that feather. Very seldom do I find a feather falling from an eagle. Now their presence maybe is something that'll bring in vultures, but because they all fly fairly low and they are on the lookout for carcasses, for kills, they're likely to arrive before vultures. And if anything, that wasn't an eagle, it's a vulture, it's a hooded vulture. So now I'm convinced there's a carcass here. We've got to kill something. We need to look around. Hope we're going to be strong enough on signal.